Like what was like a
Hmm.
defining moment, maybe the things that actually affected it?
I'd say it's all about building a brand.
Are you some scrub who can't handle plus frames? Do you cry every night at the thought of Happy Chaos shooting you full screen? Do you think Woust loused, even though louse just Faust? Well, do I have the offer for you? Tell him, Lord Knight.
What?
Subscribe to the Beast Coast FGC channel today.
What's up, YouTube? I'm joined here with Johnny, and there's been a lot of talk recently about entry fees and like the bunny in Melee right now, and so we're just gonna kind of talk about not only our experiences with the entry fees and how prize pooling has affected our careers, as well as just like how our Melee careers work in general, and whether or not prize pools even really matter for that and the longevity of the Melee career. So I guess I'll start off by asking you, Johnny. How much do you think the entry fee would really affect like our day-to-day career stuff?
For like big events like say Pound or Genesis, my personal opinion is entry fees, they can only do so much, you know. Like I think you can't really rely on people entering and using that to drive the prize pool. We need to get sponsors or money from elsewhere, which is pretty difficult in itself. But I don't think entry fees are like the way to do it.
Yeah, that's definitely also like what's funny is I think the original prompt and the reason why this got such big traction was like during Pound. I forgot who was it. I think it was like either Ultimate Player Spargo or Meister, or it ended up being like a few top players posting their prize pooling. We all like they were all under the assumption that it was a $10 entry fee, so it's like, hey, this is silly, like I like placed top 4 or whatever and I only got like this much, like this would be a lot better at least if we double the entry fee. But it turns out it was already at $15, so it's like it was like already barely off from the $20 originally. And like even if we did $20 entry at that tournament, I don't think it would have really mattered for how like the impact of like that individual tournament would have been like small enough to be like, like I 100% agree that like it's a lot more to do with like lack of developer support and lack of sponsors, which are hard to get with like Nintendo and everything. So I think, and what's even more interesting, I think, is the assumption I think is that it's the bigger tournaments that should have bigger entry fee because people already spend a lot of money traveling to the tournament. A $5 to $10 like entry fee boost won't really affect much of like the typical user or whatever. But the population of people that like win enough money or win enough times to consistently make money from it are probably already doing well enough from like the sponsors that they have like individually, right? It'll only really affect such a small percentage of like the player base or whatever that attends tournaments that like it just doesn't really matter. Like I think it's fine. Like I think like increasing entry fee is like for the most part like not that big of an increase in like the general travel funds. Like you spend like $400 to $600 traveling to a tournament, so like 5 to 10 doesn't really matter. But I definitely think that like for the most part it'll just like kind of help. But like Melee players, like we have to survive off of like content creation and like all that stuff, so like it's pretty much like it's such a small impact on the whole bigger picture of it that like I definitely also am on the same page of like like sure. Like it definitely doesn't feel like that big of an impact. I don't know if you have any more thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's just hard to know how to like fix like the problem like through payouts of like you know, say a big event like some people are like we should make it more top heavy, and but other people are like no, you know, if you get like top 32 out of a million people you should get like something decent for it, right? But then it hurts like the people at the top, like say HBox saying like only got $800 second place. That's a travesty. You can argue that, but what about like everyone else? It's just impossible to make everyone happy. So
right,
I don't think the solution is as a Smasher, it's like people want to like find a way to like solve it through like prize payouts, but because you know, Nintendo's not helping out or sponsors or whatever, like the reality is it's just like impossible to like really fix.
Yeah, I think realistically, like I forgot who said it. I saw someone say something that like we just have so little money to like split anyway. Like the TOs don't really get paid that much at all. And like if anybody like that, those are probably like the first group of people that like you should probably like start funding, like the volunteers and whatnot. And even if we were to take all of like the small bit of profit that TOs make and we put it towards the prize pool, again, it just doesn't have that much of an impact because like it's just the money in Melee is low in general. And so like increasing prize pool is not going to be like the answer that suddenly makes Melee a viable career, right? Like it just like you would need to like literally increase the prize pool by like thousands and thousands of dollars in order to like actually make it to where like, okay, now excuse me, now we can make top 32 a reasonable payout, and now we can like make it to where if you travel to regionals, you know, you can realistically turn that into like enough money to travel to majors, because that's the other issue, is that like a lot of like the people who consistently place well are just the people that have the resources to travel at all. So like generally you need to be like top 20 or so to have a good enough sponsor to like actually pay out for like, or pay for all the trips, or you need to have Melee as like your side gig and you need to have a full-time job so you can actually do it. Doing like a raw being good at Melee and living off of that is just like such a difficult thing to like. Increasing the prize pool will not actually assist most people in accomplishing that goal. So I think like it just makes it to where like I do think the small thing that I would like, and the reason why I think entry fee increase would be like pretty nice, is that like a lot of people who place top 8 at Pound, or like I remember at least Shep, he didn't even get to cover his venue fee from the entry fee, or from like getting top 8, which I think is like, that's a pretty good starting place to determine how much money we should be affecting, or like that how much the entry fee should be, because like I just kind of believe that most people should get their money back if they win money at all. But like again, that doesn't really contribute to like the overall player like making it to where we can actually live off the game thing. I do think that the issue just at the end of the day is always just going to be lack of developer support, lack of outside money, because there's no amount of crowdfunded money that I think would like really make a big enough impact for us to like be able to change anything about the current state of Melee. Also, to continue off of that, for like your Melee career in general, I think people may just not understand how I think we all just kind of get it at this point that like winning tournaments is not the reason why we like can live off the game. So like what were the things that you think people would need to have a better understanding of like how we make money and how like we were able to turn this into our career or whatever? Like what was like a defining moment, maybe the things that actually affected it?
I'd say it's all about building a brand and really working around it. And tournament results are like one aspect. People, at least in the past, like overhyped it like quite a bit, expected that to be everything. But nowadays it's more about building a brand, and all the pieces are connected, like YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, your results. So it's about really learning how to do that in order to like make a full-on Melee full-time living. Unless you're like say top 3 in the world, or top 5 maybe, then even then, like the best, most people supposedly making the most money are like say Mango. He just has like a extremely good brand. His Twitch is like top whatever % in the world and all that. So
he definitely has a very, very insane stream relative to like our Melee community size.
Yeah. Sorry, did you have anything else like question wise, or?
Oh, I mean, I guess I was also just gonna have some input. Like 100%. Like it's interesting because I think the way that people I think expect esports to work is that you're good at the game and then you just magically get money through like winning. And it's like, I think for a lot of other games, it makes sense. Like Fortnite, you can like, if you're just good at Fortnite and you just place well at tournaments, you do just get money and you can live off of that. But I think a lot of smaller games, I think fighting games in general, even the ones with like decent developer support, a lot of the money still does come from just branding. And that like, that's kind of just the modern meta of esports, assuming that your game is not giant, is that you just get good enough in order to have a platform. And once you have a platform, you can pivot that into like pretty much anything. Obviously, like YouTube and Twitch are like the most clear examples of like, once you have like a little bit of like a foothold on the internet, then you can just basically do generic content creation things and like use that to get more sponsors and to even just get direct money from those social media platforms. I think that's just kind of that's just how people on the internet in general make money. Like Melee is just a means to be popular on the internet. And once you're popular on the internet, you can actually just like use the internet's algorithm to like save you and just like give you a bunch of money. Because it's funny. I think people for a while, I heard like the rumblings of like esports just doesn't really have money. Like it doesn't make sense that players were sponsored because like it was hard to like for a team to really make money off a player a lot of the time, unless they were very popular. And I think that's when people start to slowly realize like, oh, we just need to recruit popular people so that we can like get them to make money like through like other means, like having like a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel, or like having like a sponsored, our team sponsored like thing that we could actually just like, we just need more eyes on us. That's all like this turns into. And I think that's why like winning tournaments isn't like gonna really impact your like actual like living fee unless you literally place first and it has like such an obnoxious pot bonus that it'll like actually make a big difference. Usually winning a tournament just like gives you more attention and gives you more people who will like tune into your streams, which you then actually pivot into the money, which is why I think entry fee and stuff from earlier, like that's why it has such a low impact on like how it actually goes, just because like we're really only here to just accumulate like viewer number and to actually like translate Melee's high viewership into something that we can profit off of, because currently, even with like 100,000 views or whatever, it's still kind of hard to like turn that into stuff. So the best thing we can do is like pivot that attention into something that like we can, into our brand, and to like actually turn the brand into something that's profitable. So I think that's also why I was so I understood that in the back of my head, but I didn't really ever articulate it. So I guess that's why it makes sense that like entry fee I already understood is like, like is that really going to make a difference? Like, no. Yeah, I do think a lot of our career is just so based off branding that like the small financial changes from like those types of like changes in the entry fee or whatever are just going to be so low impact that like it's not that important in the overall picture. But did you have any like career defining moments that like that really, or like what were some moments I guess that like really shot up your brand or whatever from Melee?
Personal brands. Well, I was lucky because like Evo 2013 had with Mango doing this run, and
Right.
Twitch blowing up. I'm one of Mango's like best friends.
Right. Yeah.
And
I'm sure that helped a lot.
I was top 3 in SoCal during the SSS era.
Oh yeah. I watched a lot of that actually.
I was like in the right place at the right time. Exact events that helped me out. Maybe getting like top 3 at Shine that one time might be.
Yeah,
like,
the chair one.
Yeah. Hit ice in the eye. The chair pop off. Yeah.
It's funny, like that's what really, I think that like even like highlights it even more. Like it's a lot more about having like moments and like having like memes almost happen to you. Like if you have like a popular meme, or like obviously you have good connections like Mango or like all these other people, it ends up being a lot easier to pivot all of that attention to into something. I think a lot of people, like there's like a lot of legendary players that played Melee who never really got to pivot into anything because they just didn't have like a memeable or like a popular moment that happened, right? Like I think a lot of players who were really, really, really good, who could win hella tournaments even like at locals and whatnot, like it just didn't like, it didn't actually turn into anything, because like that's all we're like essentially hunting for nowadays, is just like we just need to have moments. And winning tournaments nowadays is a moment that we can like turn into something. So like, or placing top 8 at China or whatever, right? Like those are all things that like have such big impacts on like our brand that like I think it makes a lot of sense that that would be the thing. Like for me also, beating Mango at Genesis was like easily the thing that just like I went from nobody to something really quickly, and then I pivoted that until like from the little bit of attention I got from that, I was able to just like constantly grow the brand and more and more and more. And I haven't even really had another moment like that, like at all. Like I've just had to like use that momentum to like snowball into like an actual career from there. And like all you really need is like about one moment. I think that's how the internet kind of works in general. I think a lot of people, like a lot of popular TikTokers and like YouTube creators or whatever, they generally have one viral moment and then it turns into, whatever from there, because like they just needed the base. And once you have the base, it's like a lot easier. I guess lastly, just to close us off, what do you think would be like do you have any ideas of like where we can find the outside money? Because I think that's like the biggest issue at the end of the day, is like we have the community and we have the players that are creating the content. There's ways to like make it through just through just being a content creator. Where do you think we need to start looking in order to like actually have the funding to potentially make it to where we could actually just be good at the game and not have to worry so much about being popular on the internet?
Dude, I don't know. Honestly, like
I do think this is like a really hard question to answer.
We just need like a rich benefactor that loves Melee or something. I don't know. I like try to like think about it in my head. I'm like,
I do think that's a lot of people's theory about like, oh yeah, like we'll just need Ludwig to like save everyone. Like we need like 5 Ludwigs. If we have 5 Ludwigs in the Melee community, then it'll be easy. We get funding all the time.
Yeah, something like that. I actually don't really know. Like, how about you? Do you have any ideas in your head?
No. It's really, really difficult. I think at the end of the day, like I mean realistically, just because it just should be brought up too, like we have had opportunities with like Red Bull and with Twitch, and like a lot of people have actually tried to, they see Melee's viewership and they know that it's popular and they know that they can like like sponsor and it'd be great, but a lot of people just don't want to work with Nintendo, or honestly Nintendo doesn't want to work with absolutely anyone. They have shut down so many circuits and so many of those like streaming things. Like obviously I think the most popular thing that happened was that at EVO 2013 they shut it down. Who knows, they just didn't want Melee to be popular, you know, they just they have like a very specific target towards Melee. And so that's kind of the ultimate frustration, is that you have a lot of other esports that have a lot of developer support but not nearly as much viewership as Melee does, and they still, you know, they can like thrive, but Melee with all of its viewers cannot for the life of it like actually get the outside support. And it's actually cool to see like the BTS and whatnot. They've been securing a lot of really sick sponsors like Papa John's. I know Coinbase has been supporting the Melee community in a lot of different places, and I think so. I do think it's just gonna be a matter of like, do we have the sponsors and like actively looking for sponsors that are just like, I actually don't even know how they're managing to get these. I don't know if they're like sneaking around Nintendo or if Nintendo is just like hands off with it recently. It's really hard to say, but like, I think at the end of the day, that's the most frustrating part about the issue, is that Nintendo is just volatile. It's unclear what they want and like what like things that they're okay with. If there's like specific brands they don't want like to have like anything to do with Nintendo or something. It's really frustrating. I think that's why like at the end of the day, we probably do just have all of the resources and all of the, you know, we have access to all of the things that I think would have like help us have outside money, but because Nintendo is just so weird and hard to work with, it makes it to where like we're alienating that audience. And maybe it's just a matter of like proving to the brands that like we can operate without like Nintendo, or that we've already circumvented some past, like Papa John's got secured, so maybe we can snowball that into having more brand deals that'll like actually support us, and then hopefully turn that into prize pool money. And then maybe somewhere down the line, if everything is smooth enough and we have enough positive experiences, then maybe we'll have enough outside money to finally just be good at the game instead of to just have to like sell Doritos on the internet, you know? So yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's just, can we successfully avoid Nintendo? That is the only way that we'll really have a secure place in the career or space or whatever.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's just tough.
Yeah, it's like people are just afraid of Nintendo randomly like striking them down, and it's like, okay, we just blew like $20,000 trying to run this event, or you know.
Yep. It's so
just bullshit like that. Yep.
But the circuits are coming too. Like I think the circuits are probably also going to be like the the thing that hopefully, like I know like they were supposed to be the Nintendo Panda thing. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
But I also think that's gonna be like a pretty good indicator of where we're gonna be like at with like Nintendo, I guess. But like it's also been really quiet lately, so like maybe it's a sign that like it's not gonna be happening. I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, I think that's all I had to say about the topic. I don't know if you have anything left.
No, I'm good. You know, it's just tough for the average smasher. You really gotta hustle.
Yeah, you gotta hustle and you know, work on your own brand. And for now, just like my best recommendation for anyone getting into it, take any moment of viralness that you get, or even try to like make a viral moment, and then just go off that, like, and just like try to snowball it, because we do have a very supportive community. I think our streams are very like, we have a high sub count for our community size, honestly, for how much money that we have in our viewership. We have like an abnormal amount of subs. So yeah. I would definitely say if you're out there and you want to help a Melee player survive in the career, just, you know, go directly support them, follow them on their social medias and stuff, and, you know, help their brand be good.
Yeah, just if you're a fan of someone who's full-time Melee, sub to them, watch their videos, you know, it's the best way to help us out, for sure, at the moment. So that's all I gotta say. So that was me and Magi. We're talking about Melee prize pools, making Melee a career, and so forth. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe to the Beast Coast channel for more content from both of us and the rest of Beast Coast. Thanks.